you are right where you're supposed to be in life, where where you've been placed. I think of all the close calls that I've had, and I used to worry about being late, like all the time. But I noticed every time I was late, I always missed something. For instance, I was driving into work one day and I was running late, and I I got to a certain point and I missed. It was an accident that I think around that time that could have been me in that incident. So I think we have to remember that God always has us where He wants us to be at that particular time. Don't get caught up on feeling like you're supposed to be somewhere at this time, because that's not for you. Everything is set up strategically for you to be in the place that you're supposed to be at that moment. So when you think about content creation, think about it as you haven't gotten to the place where you want to be because it's not your time. You will get there when it's your time to arrive at that point. But right now, God is setting up everything for you to be where you are on your content journey. Another day I was driving into work. Literally, like, I was seconds off from hitting this deer. Like, I almost nipped the deer on the highway. And I was flying, probably going 70, 80 miles an hour, and I missed it by seconds. I say all that to say is, in life, you can be seconds away from something that could change your whole life. I was going fast enough where I could have got injured pretty bad. Now I know I should have been speeding, but the fact of the matter is, I was where I was supposed to be, and I was able to miss that deer. Or I go back even further. How I figured out I was a creative. How I figured out that I had this creative bone in my body that allowed me to create and even get on here and make videos for you guys and tell my story or what I did throughout school. But when I was young, I was roughly 9 years old, and I was going to a Catholic school. I was raised Catholic, and I would never forget it, being like one of the only black kids. Basically was the other kids were biracial, but I was the only black kid at this school, and it wasn't bad. I didn't have a lot of issues with that. I didn't feel different because I was too young to understand the whole color thing and what it was to be only black at a school. Um, but I will never forget this day. Like I said, I was 9 years old, and how the school was set up. It was the high school, and then the grade school right next to it, but they were connected. And and the bus would pull up on this, like, on the side by this fence that was over here, and then the school was right across from it. And I was walking to the bus, and this new kid had just got his license. He was like 16 years old. It was an old yellow Z28 Camaro. And I'm walking to the bus, and I hear my sister yell my name. And by then, this teenager had hit me with his car. Now, I'm up under, like, not completely under the car, but he stopped his wheel on my leg. They carried me into the school. That's where they lost the lawsuit, which ended up going on. My mother ended up suing. We won the lawsuit. But after that, they were mistreating me. And it had been mistreatment before this even happened anyway, with little stuff. And so later on, it was like middle of the day. My mother came and pulled me out the school. I didn't know what was going on, and she put me in this township school. And that's where I found my creativity. They had the biggest performing arts center, musical, anything you could think of, performing arts, it was there. And that's where I learned to be where I was. So God will allow and put you in a place that you're supposed to be in at that time. He allowed all this to happen to get me to figure out that I was creative, which led me later on to do stand-up comedy for 7 years, which I did pretty good at, but I stepped away. And then I found YouTube, and here I am. But you're at where you're supposed to be. Don't ever feel like that you're behind in life or you're not where you should be, because it's very strategic. It's a plan, and when you're ready to get there and when it's your time, you're going to get there, but you can't stop. You have to keep going on your path and your journey to see where you're supposed to be and what's for you. And if you go off that path, you won't know, because you're trying to skip over something and do something else, but certain things aren't meant for you. So stay on that path and keep going and see what God has in store. But if you get off that path, you won't know, because You didn't go on the path that you were led on. Allow things to happen naturally, and when it does, you'll be surprised on what happens. But stay focused and just keep grinding, and stay on the path that's meant for you. And watch how God blesses you. Watch how you get what's coming to you naturally anyway, because you stayed on it and you kept grinding, and you were prepared for whatever was put in front of you. Don't feel like it was a mistake or something that happened in your life was a mistake. No, it happened because it needed to happen to get you where you're going. But, and I say all that to say, just keep going and watch what I tell you. Stay on your path. Don't go on no one else's path. Don't let anybody tell you where you should be, because nobody knows that but God, where you're going to go. He has it already in store. It's already been written. It's a plan in place, and you just got to go with it and watch what happens. Man, I love y'all. That's it, and see y'all in the next video.